A mom thought it was harmless to let her puppy sleep beside her newborn. But 1 month later, she rushed to the doctor in tears. The vet's discovery left everyone stunned, because what the puppy had been doing all along wasn't ordinary. Cuddling. It was something that saved the baby's life. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The house was already filled with soft lullabies and the gentle cries of a newborn when a new sound joined in. The playful barks of a puppy. Sarah, a first-time mother, had just brought her baby girl, Emma, home when her husband surprised her with a tiny German Shepherd pup. At first, Sarah hesitated. Balancing diapers and midnight feedings already felt overwhelming. Adding a puppy seemed reckless, but as she watched the dog curiously sniff the baby's blanket, wagging its tail instead of barking, her heart softened. The puppy's eyes carried a warmth that felt almost protective. Emma lay in her crib, tiny fists clenched, her face scrunching as she whimpered. To Sarah's surprise, the puppy padded over, curling beside the crib. Emma quieted instantly, her cries replaced by soft coos. In that moment, Sarah realized this little pup might become more than just a pet. It might be family. The first few nights were restless. Emma often woke up crying, her tiny voice echoing through the quiet house. Sarah would stumble from bed, cradling her daughter until she drifted back to sleep. But one night, she entered the nursery and froze. The puppy had already climbed into the crib. At first, panic shot through her veins. She rushed forward, ready to pull the dog out, but then she stopped. Emma wasn't crying. In fact, she was lying peacefully, her little hand resting against the puppy's soft fur. The pup, eyes closed, breathed in rhythm with her, calm and content. Sarah stood in silence, watching as her daughter's breathing steadied. For the first time, Emma slept soundly through the night. Sarah hesitated, torn between worry and awe, but finally whispered to herself, maybe this is what she needs. That was the beginning of something far greater than she imagined. As the weeks passed, the bond between Emma and the puppy deepened in ways Sarah never expected. Every night, without fail, the pup would sneak into the crib, curling beside the baby as if it were his rightful place. Strangely, Emma seemed happiest when he was near. Her restless cries lessened, and her sleep grew longer, steadier. Sarah noticed mornings were brighter too. Emma's giggles filled the room as the puppy nuzzled her cheek, his tail wagging like a tiny drum. It was as if the pup had appointed himself her guardian, her comfort, her best friend. Family members and friends who visited were captivated. It's like fate, one relative whispered, watching the pair nap side by side. Sarah's heart swelled with warmth, but a sliver of unease remained. She couldn't shake the feeling that the puppy's devotion carried something deeper, something she didn't yet understand. It wasn't long before Sarah noticed something unusual. The puppy wasn't just cuddling, he was guarding. Each night, he positioned himself between Emma and the door, his ears perked, his small body tense. If anyone entered the room, even family, he growled softly until he was sure there was no danger. During the day, Emma's cries stopped almost instantly when the pup pressed close to her. His nose nudged her chest gently, his body curling protectively around her tiny frame. Sarah marveled at the way her daughter calmed, but she also wondered, how did a puppy so young know to do this? The most unsettling moment came when a neighbor leaned over the crib to coo at Emma. The pup sprang up, barking sharply, eyes locked with fierce intensity. It wasn't aggression, it was warning. Sarah's unease grew. This was more than companionship. Something deeper was driving his strange devotion. Sarah's initial delight slowly gave way to worry. She couldn't ignore the puppy's intensity anymore. Why was he so alert every night? Why did he refuse to sleep until Emma was settled? Her maternal instincts screamed that something was hidden beneath his behavior, something she needed to understand. One evening, she set up her phone to record while Emma slept. Hours later, Sarah replayed the footage, her heart thudding in her chest. What she saw unsettled her deeply. The puppy never truly slept. He would rest his head briefly, then spring up at the slightest sound, circling the crib protectively. Sarah showed the video to her husband, her voice trembling. "This isn't normal," she whispered. "He's trying to tell us something." The family debated, torn between amazement and fear. To Sarah, one thing was clear: the puppy's devotion wasn't random. It was a warning she could no longer ignore. The following week, Sarah's unease grew stronger. Each night, the puppy repeated the same routine, sniffing Emma's chest with unusual persistence. At first, Sarah thought it was curiosity. But the longer she watched, the clearer it became: the pup wasn't playing. He was searching, focusing on the same spot over and over. Sometimes, he would paw gently at Emma's blanket near her chest, whining softly, before curling protectively against her. Sarah's pulse quickened every time. Why there? Why always the same place? She tried brushing it off as coincidence, but deep inside, fear gnawed at her heart. One night, as Emma stirred restlessly, the puppy nudged her chest again and let out a low, urgent bark. Sarah scooped up her daughter, her hands trembling. She stared at the puppy's intense gaze and whispered to herself, "He knows something. I don't." That realization chilled her to the bone. Unable to ignore the signs any longer, Sarah bundled Emma in a blanket and called for an urgent appointment. She carried both the baby and the puppy into the clinic, her mind racing with fear. Dr. Hayes, the family vet, greeted her warmly, though her anxious eyes betrayed her concern. Sarah explained everything: the sleepless nights, the guarding, the sniffing at Emma's chest. The vet listened carefully, occasionally glancing at the pup who sat alertly by the baby's side, tail still but eyes sharp. "He's healthy," Dr. Hayes confirmed after a quick check of the dog. "But perhaps he's sensing something." Those words sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. The vet gently suggested Emma undergo a pediatric examination as well. Though confused, Sarah agreed immediately. As they left the clinic, the puppy trotted beside the stroller, his gaze never leaving Emma. Somehow, Sarah knew he had just led her closer to the truth. At the hospital, doctors ran a series of tests on baby Emma. Sarah paced the hallway, clutching the puppy in her arms, her heart pounding with dread. Hours felt like days until finally, a pediatrician stepped into the room, holding the test results with a grave expression. "Your daughter has an early-stage heart condition," he explained gently. "It's subtle, almost impossible to detect this early, but without treatment, it could have worsened over time." Sarah's knees buckled, tears streaming down her cheeks. She stared at the doctor in disbelief, then at the loyal pup sitting quietly by Emma's crib. The realization hit hard. The puppy had known all along. His sniffing, his guarding, his restless nights, they weren't accidents. He had sensed what no one else could. Sarah hugged the little dog tightly, sobbing, "You saved her." The room, once filled with fear, now overflowed with awe and gratitude. Back at home, Sarah sat on the couch with Emma resting peacefully in her arms. The puppy curled at her feet, his eyes fixed on the baby with quiet devotion. She reached down, stroking his soft fur, and whispered, "You knew before anyone. You refused to give up until I listened." Her husband joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Together, they replayed every moment: the sleepless nights, the growls, the constant guarding. What once seemed strange now made perfect sense. The puppy hadn't been restless. He had been warning them, protecting the baby from something invisible. Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks as she leaned closer to Emma. "You're here because of him," she whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. The room felt different now, not just safer, but filled with a bond that could never be broken. Gratitude turned their fear into awe, and awe into love. From that day on, Sarah never questioned the bond between her baby and the puppy. Each night, the little guardian nestled beside Emma, not just as a playmate but as a protector. His soft breaths lulled her to sleep, and his watchful eyes promised safety until morning light returned.